Hello and welcome to Blind Love. So this is a Michaela Laws story, and this is about a couple. The boyfriend suffers a accident and is left without sight for the rest of his life, and his girlfriend has to find a way to help him and to adapt to life. This is a very sad and heartbreaking story, to say the least, and it is one of the victims of the channel blip. I originally started this when I did this was the first game I played when I originally started second Valentine's Day Stories, and was the first game I played when I did the restart, and is going to be a part of the sub-show Valentine Tales. Instead of being the first game in a month, it's going to be the second game now. So without further ado, let's get right into Blind Love.
I'm sorry. The chemicals that made contact with his eyes rendered him completely blind. He's blind? I'm afraid so. There's nothing we can do to save his eyes.
There's nothing you can do. Nothing. You can't just leave him like this.
I'm sorry, but his eyes are too damaged to fix. He is not able to even register hues anymore because of the damage.
I lost my eyes. I was no longer able to see the world around me. I couldn't see the sun, the stars, the trees, my friends, my family, her. Nothing. All because of a drunk driving accident. I wanted to cry. I wanted to scream and curse the world, but what good would that have done for what I had lost? I wasn't able to see the world anymore. I wasn't allowed to. I had to accept it. All I could do is sit in that hospital bed and make friends with the new darkness I was forced to see and endure for the rest of my life. I couldn't help but let smile grow upon my lips, staring at the darkness in my mind. Not even my imagination would let me remember what the world looked like at that moment. How cruel. I heard a set of heels click their way towards me, growing louder and faster with each step. They were frantic, stopping and gaining speed as they clanked through the room all at once. I was surrounded by a warm pair of arms with a body crushed against mine. My body wanted to push away whoever was on me out of instinct. But as the scent of perfume I knew and adored reached my nose, I relaxed within the arms wrapped around me. Sarah. Her weeping into my shoulder broke my heart. I couldn't remember when she came, but when she did, I recalled the choked sob she released at what she saw. I could only imagine it. A bruised, burnt, and damaged man in a hospital bed with wraps over his eyes and injections on every open stretch of skin on his body that wasn't covered by gauze or bandages. It would be a scary sight indeed, especially if the one in the bed was her boyfriend. If it were a prank, it would be one of the world's cruelest ever imagined. A small sliver of me wished it was a prank. It didn't help that she was a war veteran. She fought hard and was given honors upon her leaving the army, but she never shook off the imagined images of death and destruction engraved in her memory. I don't think anyone could shake off memories like war. However, to see the one you love damaged and so close to death was probably like watching a fellow soldier fading away in the aftermath of a battle. Her cries let me know that she was both happy I was alive, but heartbroken at the damage I endured and had to forever live with. And I could do nothing but hold her and let her weep. When she stopped, her embrace around me weakened, and I felt her pull away from my body slightly. Her breath let me know that she was in front of me, staring into my rapt-covered eyes.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cry so much, but this whole thing is...
Unfair? Life? It's okay. Let's go with that one. I could hear her whimper a bit in reply, letting me assume that she was agreeing and fighting back tears again. I gently lifted a hand and tried to guide it to where her face was. As I neared the warmth her skin emitted, her head gently lifted my wrist and placed my palm over her cheek, allowing me to land on target. I let out a small but sad smile grow over my... I let a small but sad smile grow on my lips as I ran my thumb over her skin. She felt soft, but her cheek was slightly damped from the tears she shed. I could barely picture it, despite not wanting to at all. Alex, what happened? Happened. We can't just live in the regret of the pain. We can get through this. Her head gently nodded against my hand, and I felt her nuzzle against my palm and fingers, lovingly, covering my hand with hers. I felt helpless. I wanted to tell her that I would be fine. I wanted to comfort her with more than just words of strength. However, the dark feelings of anger and sadness in my chest wasn't going away. It crawled around in my core and made me want to thrash around, screaming and cursing my situation. I didn't want it to affect her, so I simply caressed her cheek as calmly as I could. I had to be strong, if not for her, then for myself. That was 3 months ago. 3 months ago, my life without sight had begun. It wasn't a life I wanted to start, but it was a life I had to live, whether I liked it or not. Still, this game is still sad even the third time around. Despite the fear behind the idea, living without sight was not as bad as people made it seem to be. That is true. I've heard that your other senses kick in very heavily. I was given a favorable walking cane and even a seeing eye dog. He was a good dog, very loyal. His name was... Russell became my best friend very quickly. According to Sarah, he was a golden retriever, so he was extremely loving. He even enjoyed sitting near me as I worked. That's right. Just because I was blind didn't mean I couldn't work. I've had to raise the middle finger to so many people about the fact when they didn't believe me. I was a writer, blogging about my life and making progress on a story I hoped would sell well. Of course, to make ends meet, I was a journalist. Before the crash that took my eyes, I was the best in the field. After the crash, I was still the best. The news company I worked for was so relieved when I told them I could still write for them despite my lack of sight. How? A voice command program my family bought for me for my computer. They knew how important writing was to me, so they got together and bought a program that allowed me to work with just my voice. It was pretty nifty, to say the least. It could read everything on my screen for me so I didn't feel lost, and it would be my grammar assistant during my deep writing modes, making sure I wouldn't screw up a sentence by reading back my work, which is what I'm doing right now. These games where I have to read always jumble me for some reason. Still, waking up in the morning and doing my daily routine was hard, even when I had my vision. I didn't want to leave my bed every morning, but my bed became an entrancing and comfortable lover that refused to let me go until demanded. Why can't I read? However, my alarm clock was not a friend to me or my bed. I woke that day to the screeching of my alarm clock in my ear. As much as I needed to get up, I wanted the loud noise to stop first. So we can punch it, we can turn it off normally, we can cover your head with a pillow. I think I picked this the first time, I can't remember the song. Ouch, that sounded like it hurt. I lifted my fist and slammed it down on the alarm clock, turning it off. It wasn't hard to find it in one shot. It was the same place it had been for 3 months. Despite my irritation, I only gave it a slight knock on the button with my fist, making sure not to break it. Punching it was an idea, but I didn't want to break it. I needed it, despite its sarcastic screaming. I finally rose from bed and rubbed my face, trying to wipe the tiredness from it. I do that all the time. Does not work. My back ached and my legs didn't feel like walking. But my mind was set on writing another chapter of my story and finishing an article for work. Alex, come on, lazy asses. Let's move. Don't talk to your legs like that. One foot moved across the bed to the edge, followed by the other in reluctance. My body slowly made its way up, and I found myself standing up on the cold wooden floor of my bedroom. I tilted my head back and stretched, letting out a relaxed groan before shaking out my limbs and rubbing my neck. Every inch of my screamed to get back under the covers and rest the day away. Fortunately, work was calling my name, and I couldn't let it off the hook today. I began to recall my step pattern, listing how many steps it took to get to the bedroom, then to the kitchen, then to my work desk from my spot. I took a while, but eventually had the entire layout of my apartment memorized by counting steps and feeling the furniture. It was small enough to where it was manageable for me, but it was still a challenge. I lived in a very nice studio apartment, fit for rich, creative minds. I was paid very well for my writing work, but spent very little personally, so I had good money to spend on living expenses. If I wanted to go, I could have a If I wanted to, I could have gotten a house in a suburb like Sarah. I made enough to where I could have owned a house and probably could have settled comfortably as a suburban recluse. However, something about living in the city felt right and kept me on my toes. Plus, I didn't have to worry about heights. It's not like I could have seen out my window anyway. Following the morning routine, I went to the bathroom, brushed my teeth, stepped back out, and went to the kitchen and began to fix myself coffee. Living without seeing each object or surface I touched was hard, but I was careful enough to leave everything in the spot each time I did something. It made it easier to find things later. The buttons on my coffee machine had markings on it, showing me which button did what. I went for my usual black coffee and poured my sugar and cream conveniently placed by the machine into my coffee mug. I thought he was gonna drink black coffee for a minute. I have nothing against anybody who drinks coffee pure black, but I don't know how y'all do that. Like, I tried black coffee before without any cream and sugar. It tasted off to me. Something about the scent of coffee calmed me. Despite the drink itself being made to give energy, maybe it was the warm and earthly undertone to it that gave it that extra ability, a trick of the mind. I think we'll read one more and then we'll close out the episode. It was fascinating to think of such things. It gave me a new avenue to explore for descriptions and emotions. Instead of relying on my eyes to give me all of the visual details. Perfect for a writer. I like how, despite the fact that he lost his eyesight in that car crash, that he's not letting it affect his life, and he's still living it, even though he cannot see his surrounding area's atmosphere around him. It is a sad story, but this goes to show you how strong we humans really are. But anyways, that is going to conclude this episode of Blind Love. I hope for those of you who are just watching this episode for the first time, I hope you enjoyed it. And for those of you who are taking this journey with me again, I hope you enjoy. I'd say I completed this game in 6 episodes. Can't remember. Anyways, either way, I hope you had fun, and I'll see you next time.